Hey everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. Today's guest is back by popular demand. She did a cooking demo last time, and she was so amazing and adorable. You said she has to come back, but this time her husband is going to do the cooking because it's his recipe. His name is Rick. Her name is Amy, and they are from Be Green with Amy, and they're going to make a plant-based SOS-free lasagna, and you can get the recipe if you just go below into the show notes. Welcome back, Rick and Amy.
Greetings.
Hi.
Greetings, Chef AJ, and greetings to all your fans.
Oh my God, you're amazing. You just are you look so young.
Well, you know, this lifestyle really helps a lot.
You look young too.
Yes, you do.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, do you feel as good as you look? I mean, you look like practically a teenager or a college age. But you're like a grandmother, aren't you? Or at least a parent. I know.
You and I are the same age, Chef.
Yeah, and I'm not far behind.
That's right.
So we'll keep that. We'll keep that quiet. So yeah, it was just before the show. I was saying you've got such fabulous recipes. We'd love to see a book from you.
Yeah, and I think that's what our next thing will be. We're going to be coming out with a book. We have some awesome recipes that I have to give it all the credit to Rick. So he developed a lot of these recipes, and a lot of them are things that we eat all the time. I'm really spoiled. I have a wonderful cook in the house, and we have to share it with you guys. So I think that's going to be our next thing. So just keep a lookout. Our website is begreenwithamy.com, and just keep looking for the announcement there, and it'll be coming around soon.
Yeah. I'm so excited for this recipe because I was at Clark's, it's this nutrition store we have in the desert, and I saw these lasagna noodles, and they're made out of hearts of palm.
Oh, I would love to try that.
We're going to show you how to make lasagna noodles out of zucchinis.
Oh, that's just as good. So I can't wait to get started.
But I'm going to make it with whole wheat pasta.
Right.
But for the people who don't like the whole wheat pasta or want to incorporate, we do the zucchini. Amy bought me this really cool. It's a vegetable slicer.
It's a peeler.
If you have one of those KitchenAid
If you have a
mixers,
stand mixer, it's an attachment. They have all kinds of attachments for the stand mixers. So this is the attachment that I bought for my
yeah, you can see
my cook Rick.
There you go.
So I think we'll get started.
We're going to start off. I'm going to cook the noodles. We use whole wheat pasta. So the water's boiling.
But I'm sure any kind of noodle, if it was gluten-free, they can use any noodle they want.
Right, any kind of noodle that you like. Some people take a mandolin and they'll take a sweet potato and slice it on the mandolin and just kind of make little noodles out of that. So we're going to have that in with the recipe to give you different options of what to do if you don't want to use the standard noodle and you're gluten-free. So just another way to use a potato, right, AJ?
Absolutely.
So I put the noodles in, cook it to whatever it says, which is ours 8 minutes. Okay? And I'm going to show you how to make some tomato sauce as well, which is a quick and easy tomato sauce that we make. I use the palm and some organic diced and some salsa, which is a Newman's. It has a little bit of salt in it, but it's low compared to most salsas.
Or you could make your own.
Or you can make your own, that's right. So while the tomato sauce is cooking, we'll put the palmy in. Amy told me to make this ahead of time, but I ran out of time. And I said, well, some people might want to see how it's made. One of the ones that we do use, which is pretty cool, it's a tomato sauce from Muir Glen, and it's tomato sauce, no salt, organic, and it's already got tomato, onion, garlic, stuff like that. So it has a nice flavor already.
But it doesn't have any salt because we're all about the SOS free, no sugar or salt.
So I just take those three and dump them in, and then I take this and I fill it up with water. We are on an RO system. We live in Southwest Florida, and I put 16 ounces of water inside of that. And then I have some already made up all the herbs and spices, which is Amy has on her thing. It is nutritional yeast, garlic, onion powder, table tasty, which you turned me on to, Chef AJ.
Yeah, I like it. I really do. You know, I keep trying other blends, but for some reason, I think she hit the nail on the head.
Well, let me tell you, if without her, my life would be a lot more boring. Really, that and I use Penzi
Chili 9000.
Chili 9000, and then you take, supposed to be 3 tablespoons of date paste, and I use, which you also turned me on to, is Date Lady organic date syrup. Okay, and that's about it. Then I turn around, mix that up, put it on the stove, and let it cook. You talk.
Okay, I talk. Yeah, so we've been plant-based since 2012. Between the two of us, we've lost 130 pounds and kept it off. And now it's so many years later, and we feel that much younger. And we are we're no longer on any prescription medications. We're no longer on worrying about impending things that our grandparents and parents had, like the type 2 diabetes and the high blood pressure and the cholesterol. All that's melted away, and we feel so much more vibrant and energetic. And if you guys are just doubting about committing to this lifestyle, or you haven't committed 100%, once you go 100%, you just leave it all in the dust, and this all just feels normal, and it tastes delicious. With these kinds of recipes, you just can't go wrong anyway. And so now, you got that going?
Yes.
So what are you going to do next, Rick?
I am going to turn around and make some ricotta cheese.
Ah, see?
So
No dairy ricotta cheese. This is going to be good.
we make it with tofu. So let me plug this in for you. Should have had it set up already. Okay. So I take tofu. I use, it doesn't matter to me what kind. I use the extra firm. That's the one that's most convenient most of the time. I don't bother pressing it out. I just drain the water off.
Hey, Rick, Debbie says she loves your apron and wants to know if it's available to purchase.
We can get you the link for it.
Yeah, my sister gave me this for Christmas.
So we'll ask her for the link for it and get it to you guys, and we'll post it later. Yeah, it's really, really cute, isn't it?
So I take tofu, cut it, just dump it in. Like I said, I don't bother pressing the tofu because it needs some moisture, and a lot of the flavors that I'm going to wind up putting in here are all you need. Okay, I'm going to put this off to the side. I'm going to bring my Vitamix over.
Okay. Yeah, so we love this wide mouth Rebel because it has a large capacity, 12 cup. They even have 16 cup capacities also. This way you don't have to keep dumping it out all the time. And for this purpose, we're just using that S-blade. But if you wanted to put things through the chute, you could put in a small thing like a carrot or something even larger. Or even if you opened it up more, you could put in a big potato. So it has a really great capacity and it's easy to use.
Okay, so for the spices, I use a nut paste, which is hemp seed, Brazil nuts, macadamia nuts, as well as walnuts. Or you can just use cashews. My daughter is allergic to cashews, so even though I do use cashews on some things, most of the things, especially things that I freeze, which I'm going to do with this, I use a mixture. And the hemp seed gives it that nice creaminess, and the walnuts. And it's also more nutritional than the regular cashews. So read me off some of the instructions that are associated with that.
With the tofu?
With the
macadamia nuts and the walnuts and the Brazil nuts and the hemp seeds and the table tasty and the chili 9000 and the onion powder and the garlic powder and the juice of 1 lemon.
The juice of a lemon. There you go.
See, what we like to do is we get fresh lemons and then we squeeze them. And this way we always have a lemon on hand. And we like this lemon juicer because it's really handy. And
I freeze them. I put them in ice cubes.
Ice cube trays.
You buy, during season, you get maybe a dozen, 2 dozen. So there you go. That's
Yeah,
that's the juice
That's
of a lemon.
his juice of one lemon, and it's not reconstituted with fake ingredients, and it just goes right to vitamins. So it's really easy.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Do you get
What
key
is it?
limes because you live in Florida?
We live in Southwest Florida. It's about halfway down in the middle of the state on the Gulf side.
And we have Italian herbs and nutritional yeast. Two
Talk
cups.
louder to them.
Okay. And then we're going to add in the Italian herbs, the nutritional yeast, and 2 cups of water, and spicy brown mustard. And we try to get a low salt mustard. They also have a no salt mustard that
How much
we have
mustard?
okay, with the mustard, we're going to have a tablespoon and then the 3 tablespoons of date syrup. We try, this is a low salt mustard that we get at the store, but there's a no salt one that we have a link to in the recipe, which Chef AJ is going to have a link to in the show notes. So see how Rick measures. You probably do the same thing. I would be there with the measuring spoons and leveling everything off, but he's such a confident cook, and it's so cool.
I wind up tasting most things anyway, but for me, I'm not a measurer.
Then he's gonna add in his dressing. And this is another. Oh, he already added in the dressing. This is something that we make all the time. We make a full Vitamix full of his dressing that we have on the website, and then we just put in these little bottles, and it'll last you about a week. You just have to shake it because there's no.
The noodles are done now.
So,
Just straining them into a big colander.
Rick, we have a question from Debbie who can't eat soy. Do you have a recommended substitution
For what?
For the
for,
tofu.
for the tofu?
You can't eat tofu because you're allergic to soy.
I made a lasagna 2-3 weeks ago out of butternut squash, and it came out delicious. That was my first time. I had some roasted butternut squash that I already had, which were 2 big ones. We ate like half of it, and I was like, this stuff is gonna go bad if I don't cook it. I made some into soup, but I made it no tofu, just butternut squash, and I used the nuts and stuff. So
Oh my
Right.
God, that actually just sounds amazing because I love butternut squash.
it is.
The nuts made up for the fatty creaminess that the tofu would give you. And
Nice. Got to thank Becky Howe for the super chat. Thank you so much.
So then I pour all of that inside with the tofu.
Yeah, and also somebody who pointed that out. There's a couple of people that are pointing out that they actually have tofu now that is not made out of soy. They have pumpfu, which is made out of pumpkin seeds, and hempfu, which is made out of hemp seeds.
oh, how cool. We're going to have to try that.
And this will take a little while to process. But in the meanwhile, I'm going to show you how to make the zucchini noodles. So I take zucchinis. I put it inside of this mix master.
And we're going to have a link for this also. This is an attachment that goes on your KitchenAid. So if you have a Mixmaster KitchenAid.
Can you see the consistency of this? So it's pretty thick, just like a ricotta cheese would be.
And it has that mouthfeel to it also.
You taste it.
Okay. Somebody's got to do it. Mmm. Oh,
Okay.
wow. That's good.
So the zucchini noodle needs to fit inside of here. Okay. So this just goes in the mix master on this attachment. Okay. So you skew it like a like you would
on the barbecue.
normal things. It goes inside there.
So it's almost kind of like a spiral. It acts kind of like a spiralizer except it makes it into a sheet, which is really, really cool.
Huh. Guess we don't need that end.
Oh, okay. It's adjustable.
Okay,
All right, here's the cool thing.
gotta plug it in.
Oh, gotta plug it in or else it won't work. Need electricity. Okay.
Okay, so then you take this slicer. They have a thick and a thin, and it just places on there. Turn it on. You release this. Oops. It broke.
Is it zucchini?
Yeah.
Oh, it might have had a little mushy end to it, I think. The zucchini had a little mushy end that we should have cut off maybe. Okay, take two.
Take two. But you can see it came out thin.
That's really a cool machine.
It is a cool machine. The next one I'll cut a little smaller.
So you can adjust how thin or thick it goes.
You see how it comes out?
Holy moly, you could do wraps with that.
Yes. You can turn around and make it into little burritos, or you can make some kind of sushi thing with a wrap on these. Absolutely, which we've done in the past. So
that was just for demonstration.
I wish you could get that machine if you didn't have the other machine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they have all kinds of attachments for the Mix Master, and that's just one of them. They have things that you can slice things with and so forth. But this is just something that I never saw before, and it would be nice if they would just make that. It's kind of like if they would make it like a spiralizer where you could buy it for, you know.
Amy got me this for Christmas.
Yeah. That's for the chef who thinks he has everything, right?
What other?
And I was like, what am I going to do with that?
That is amazing. What other vegetables can you use on that slicer?
What other vegetables can you slice?
Apples. Anything that's somewhat solid and doesn't really have a whole bunch of seeds. You can do cucumbers as well. See,
like an English cucumber would be even better.
This brings it right down to the seed part. I don't know if you can see that, but the seeds didn't show through, and you get this beautiful one-piece noodle.
And then you can always use this for other recipes. It's not like you have any waste. You can always cut that up and do that. So that's just a nice way that if you're trying to avoid using any kind of pasta or gluten and you want to make something different. But like I said, you could take a mandolin and slice up a sweet potato, and that's just so fun. So now we'll have enough zucchini noodles for our recipe, so that we can show you how that works too.
That might be the coolest thing I've ever seen.
I wish I invented it.
And Amy has it on her link.
Yeah.
It's just a KitchenAid gadget.
Yes. So let's see, we've got that. I think the noodles are just about, he drained the noodles, so that's good. So they're ready.
So you take the noodles. I wind up putting them in a bowl. Let me get rid of some of this stuff first. Talk some more, Amy.
Okay. All right. So, and then when we have a lasagna pan that we use, and it's pretty large, but we like to use a silicone mat at the bottom of it so that it can help things from sticking on the bottom, of course, because we don't use oil. The pan that I have not yet found, and let me know if you find, I would love to find a large lasagna pan that is not non-stick. I haven't been able to find that yet. So we have one that's non-stick, but we cover the bottom with the silicone mat. So that's what we're going to do now is he's going to start layering everything. I'm going to move this over and move some things out of the way too.
Okay, so here's the sill mat that you use. You just lay it inside of your lasagna pan like that. Then I take the sauce that we just made and I put a layer of it on the bottom.
Now, ordinarily, when you make your own homemade tomato sauce, you would cook it, for an hour or more to cook it down. But Rick says, why bother? Because you're just going to cook it down in the oven anyway when you're making the lasagna.
Well, when I make the lasagna, yes.
Right. Otherwise, he would cook it longer than that to cook down the sauce. What else would you like? So he's got a little silicone spatula and he's just kind of spreading it around so it can get around the edges.
And I take the noodles and I just lay them, and I'll show you.
So he'll make a layer with this, and then he'll make another layer with our zucchini noodles.
If you've ever made lasagna before, you know what I'm doing. So you just lay them side by side. Okay? Then, oh, I wanted to do something else. Let's take these out. To make it a vegetable lasagna, I take a 3-pound bag of mixed vegetables. This is a California blend, or I just use broccoli. A lot of times I just use broccoli.
So they were frozen. He just left them out on the counter for a little while, but you could always zap them in the microwave if you didn't want them to be frozen when you were preparing them.
So I take this out. What I'm going to do is pulse them real quick to break them up and make them more edible without them being so big. So I don't bother cleaning this out.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to drain that a little bit.
Yeah, because you have a little extra water because you happen to defrost it. And what he likes to do is he kind of puts it in that colander and he kind of squeezes it a little bit just to get some of that water
So this
out.
is your vegetables. I do them in sections because I can't do it all at one time.
Yeah,
I'll
it's a pretty large,
take about 3.
got half of it in there. In this is a 12 cup, so it really has a lot of and then kind of have to mix it in. It gets kind of thick. So this is really got like a vegetable lasagna, and you have, and it's for, especially for people that don't care for vegetables. When you pulse it like this, you get that bite of vegetable. So it's especially like for kids, it'll make it colorful where they, and especially when the tomato sauce is in there, that they may not be able to detect that you have broccoli in the lasagna.
Or spinach or kale or whatever.
Yeah, whatever you like to put in.
So I take that mixture and I add it to the ricotta cheese.
Wow. Hey, Rick, have you ever tried jicama on your fancy machine?
I have not, but I think that it would work really good. And I think that it would cut it up nicely. I've done a sweet potato before on it. So I think jicama will work just fine.
Because they sell jicama wraps, but they're quite expensive.
Yeah, that would be a fun thing to try. That's what we're always trying to add a little variety to our diet. You get kind of stuck on some things that are your favorites.
So that's it.
So this is going to make quite a lot of lasagna, which is very nice. And this dish freezes easily. So just because, don't be intimidated by the size of the amount of the dish that you have, because you're going to be able to freeze this into individual slices if you like after it's cooked. And then you'll just have a treat of lasagna. When you don't feel like cooking, you can just take it out from the freezer and put it in the microwave, or the night before, let it defrost in your refrigerator, and you'll have a treat. we had our daughter visit us recently, and we gave her some to-go lasagna that was all frozen, and when she got home, she was so happy.
That was the butternut squash lasagna.
Yeah, that was the one, that version. And this is also great because it's so rich that you could add it to other things, and it would complement it. So if you wanted to have it with a baked potato or with a grain or some maybe like quinoa or something like that, and kind of mix it in. Or if you just had some steamed vegetables, other steamed vegetables, and you wanted to add this to the already cooked lasagna, it would just be so flavorful that you take a bite of steamed vegetables and a bite of this, and it would just give you more food to eat. And you could make smaller slices and it would last even longer.
The most important thing is when you're making this cheese, you taste it. And if it tastes good to you, the lasagna is going to taste delicious.
Right.
If it doesn't taste good, your lasagna is not going to taste delicious. So you want to make this ricotta a tasty, because that's going to be the main thing. Now, I just mix them all together. In the past, I used to put a layer of ricotta, then a layer of the vegetable. Another thing that I do is take mushrooms, and I don't know if that one's on there, but this is optional. This kind of gives it that meaty flavor that you would normally get in lasagna. A lot of people just do a layer of lasagna. I just turn a layer of mushrooms. I drain my mushrooms, and then I put them in and I mix them into the ricotta. It's all one part.
It's an easy recipe that we do, batch cooking, that we have a link for that too. And we batch cook mushrooms. We freeze the mushrooms and into individual, like 1 cup portions, so that we'll always have mushrooms on hand to get out of the freezer. But in this case, we took the whole. We usually take, oh gosh, about
this is 3 pounds.
3 pounds of mushrooms.
3 pounds, maybe 4 pounds. What I started doing, I used to do white mushroom buttons and the portobello mushrooms for little babies, and we take shiitake.
Yeah.
We buy the frozen shiitake mushrooms, and that's it.
So this is just something that, an extra thing if you wanted to add it in. And for those people that, for sometimes with lasagna, they add that meat in there and they want that chewy kind of consistency, that will add that in.
So you have those noodles on the bottom with a little bit of sauce. And you take these, and I just make like 5 or 6 flops. Okay. And then I just flatten it out.
So it's just basically a layer of that and a layer of that. And then we'll go with it.
And try to make the layers about even.
And he's trying to also take the bottom of the spoon and kind of push it off to the edges too, so that there's some there. But it's not a neat, precise thing. It's just coverage, like you're laying bricks with some mortar.
And then you put another layer of noodles. The next layer I'm going to make will be the zucchini. You might as well do that. Thank you, sweetheart.
I'm the sous chef.
That's a good one. All right. Then I take some sauce.
All right, so it's just a matter of layering. And all these components are really great too, because you're making the sauce, and if you have leftover sauce, you can freeze that. And then you can use that in with it, you can spiralize some zucchini and make, or some spaghetti squash and make yourself that kind of a dish. So there's just all kinds of things that you can do. And I love this way of cooking when you don't have to worry about cross-contamination. And you can just, anytime, you can taste what you're making and make sure that you like how it tastes. And you don't have to worry
these layers are about 1/4 of an inch to a 1/2 inch thick, I guess. Now we're going to do the zucchini noodle.
Yeah, we're not worried about the skin, because once it cooks, it's going to be fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Once it cooks, it's going to be very soft, and you won't even notice that you have that green skin on there. It won't be tough to chew or anything. It'll just cook very nicely. Oh, we have to see if we can show them what that looks like. Can you show them?
So you take the zucchini noodle and you just put it there, layer it right on top. And I take another.
This would be fun to do with kids, because it's, kids like constructing things and they like to be a part of the cooking process. especially the layering part. It would be a lot of fun to have them just slop on the layers and help you build the lasagna. And this, it's so rich and delicious. And you're eating it and you're like, you feel like you're doing something evil and not compliant because it just is so rich and tasty. You feel like if I had this in a restaurant, I'd be saying, I bet it has salt in it, or I bet it has oil. I would think that the cook was trying to trick me because it's just so flavorful. Okay, so and then you do noodles. I'm like a surgical assistant here, you know, noodles.
I mean, that looks just so amazing. I can't tell you.
Yeah.
It's hearty and it's delicious. Everyone, I mean, I turn around and say normal people because they don't think I am. It's the way we eat.
Yeah.
So you got this will be my last layer.
Yep. We have a previous guest this week, wonderful chef James Sant, who was just on the show, said, I love how much fun they're having together in the kitchen. And that's really the secret. You know, have fun in the kitchen.
Have fun, right? And my kids used to watch a cartoon called Magic School Bus, and she said, "Get messy and make mistakes." You know, because really, there's no making a mistake. If it doesn't taste right, you just change the flavor profile. But it's going to be delicious. And this is for the people that say, "Oh, I miss lasagna." You're not going to miss lasagna, and you're going to wonder why you ate the lasagna that you ate when this was then in the world and you didn't know it.
Now, if you don't want to go through the trouble of making lasagna
With the layering
and everything,
right?
You could take, you know, like a noodle, like this ricotta. What do you call that? Ricotta?
Yeah. No, that's roti.
This is a spiral noodle. So
Yeah.
you boil this up and you just take this mixture and you mix it in and you bake it.
Right. You don't even have to go through the process of layering if you don't want to. So, and then another layer of sauce. And this is all, or you could just mix this in with your favorite, you know, noodle that you like. I think you could use the bean noodles. You could use that as well. So, and that's the easy way out. That would be, if I was making it, I wouldn't be doing this. I would just be dumping in my bean noodles or whatever kind of noodles, and I'd be mixing everything around and then call it a day. So, okay, so he had another layer of the sauce, and then now he's not making a full layer of these mushrooms that he has left over.
Normally what I do is have a little bit of vegetable left over, but I added it all. I forgot.
Yeah, sometimes he'll take the last part of the vegetable that he held aside and he'll kind of sprinkle it on top to add more color. But this time he's doing it. And that's what's so great about cooking. You don't have to do it exactly as the recipe calls. You just change things around and do it the way that you're feeling like doing it at the time. So.
And then I make a Parmesan cheese, and that's in the show notes probably.
Yeah.
It's made with Brazil nuts and nutritional yeast and things like that.
Yeah, he
And
just grinds it
I
up.
take that and I sprinkle it over the top.
You don't need this. You really don't, because it tastes good just the way it is. But Rick just loves flavors, so he just adds that in.
If you don't like flavors, don't buy my cookbook.
That's funny.
Because I try to make it every recipe so that it's like I would want to go to that restaurant and eat again.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way I want all my meals to be.
We don't usually go out to restaurants, so we have the restaurant in our home.
Right.
And
So
it's okay.
this is the finished product right here. Now sometimes I'll take asparagus stalks and I'll just run it across the top. Can you see that? And then I'll just lay the asparagus like that, and then we have an asparagus top, which makes it look pretty and it's delicious as well. Right. And they come out nice and moist because they're sitting in the tomato sauce.
Yeah, it's like they're steaming over when they're in the oven. It's steaming the asparagus.
Deborah says it looks like a great holiday meal. It would feed the whole family. You guys don't know how much Amy eats, though.
So then I normally take aluminum foil and I just put it over the top. Amy turns around and says we should be using a sill mat, which is
this is like a silicone banana leaf kind of thing. It looks like a banana leaf, and you can put that on top instead of the foil.
This one doesn't fit.
But if you had aluminum foil on this, it shouldn't be touching the food. So we don't like to use aluminum. And if we do, when you do use the foil, it
So you
will
have
have it.
have a smaller pan as well.
Yeah,
And that one,
that one
the
fits
banana
on
leaf
the-
fits perfectly over that.
yeah. And this can go in the oven, the silicone banana leaf. But the foil doesn't touch the food, and so you shouldn't have to worry about that. Just for the cooking purposes.
So I take that, put it in the oven at 350 for 45 minutes. And you really don't have to cook this because everything's already cooked and it's all good. But it'll coagulate and it'll solidify once it cools down, and also it blends all the flavors together with the cooking. And that's my vegetable lasagna and the tomato sauce that we make.
I gotta kiss the cook because I'm so lucky. But you guys can make it too and have fun at home.
How do you freeze it? Do you freeze it after cooking, before cooking? Do you freeze
I cook it and then I put it in the refrigerator for a day, because everything, all these foods, at least in my opinion, taste better the next day. Even though they taste good the same day, the next day or the day after, they taste even better because they just, all those.
Everything, all the flavors get absorbed into the components. And it just kind of changes as far as the texture and so forth. But yeah, so then once it's cooled down, he'll cut it into slices and we'll freeze it. So we like to freeze it in individual slices, or if it's just us, we might put 2 slices in one container to freeze. And this way we have it ready. And then we'll make individual slices so that if we have a visitor come, like we have 3 adult kids, and if they come, we say, "You want some food?"
This is the butternut lasagna.
Yeah, that's the frozen version.
It's inside of a food saver bag. So we
Right.
vacuum pack them. I'll take 2 or 3 slices of the lasagna and I'll put it inside the bags, suck it down, freeze them. And they stay good. Well, this one's dated from March 21st, but they don't last that long.
Because we eat them.
Because there's a lot of times you don't want to cook. That's why you batch cook.
Right.
But this is the machine that we use.
Yeah. So that's one way to do it, or you could get a silicone tray and put it in there.
Oh yeah,
if you
show them
want.
that tray.
I'll show you the tray that I found that I love.
And you can bake in that tray. But we use this food saver. Have you ever seen them? The plastic just rolls out, and then you vacuum. You cut it off, and it creates a bag, and then you stick them in, and then you just vacuum it out. It works really nice.
That is
Amy
so
picked these up recently.
These are silicone, and they measure 1 cup, and they also have a line in them if you only want to measure ½ cup. So you could cut pieces of lasagna and put them in here, or you could make individual lasagnas in there, and then these are oven safe, so you could bake your lasagna and then later on when you're done, it has a lid, and you just put the lid on, and you can freeze it. And then they're just like giant ice cube trays, and whatever you froze in them pops out. So when Rick makes his onion mixture batch cooking, I used to put it in little individual Ziploc bags, but now I put it in here, and then they just pop out, and they're ready to go. So that's another thing that you could use when we batch cook beans, all kinds of batch cooking. That's what we like to use to freeze things in. And I'll give you a link to that too. That should be in where the recipe is.
And there's a question if it creates a lot of liquid because you use, does it?
Okay, you're gonna have to say that again because Rick was making a little noise.
Yes, does it create a lot of liquid since you use some cruciferous vegetables?
So do we get a lot of use with
Like the lasagna, maybe she's asking if the lasagna.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of times I'll throw kale or spinach in there as well. So when I could have put down a layer of kale, or I could have put down a layer of spinach. It's the baby spinach leaves. You when you turn around, you put your noodle down, you throw the ricotta down, put a layer of spinach, layer of kale. Kale will be a little tougher unless you cook it prior to, I think.
Or just steam it lightly.
Steam it lightly and then layer it. But
Right.
the spinach, you just put it down the way that you would,
Yeah.
and it'll soften up.
Yeah.
There's a question if you could say the name of the storage thing that you're showing from Jennifer.
This here, The name of this, the soup, it's
Super cubes.
no, the store with the vacuum sealer. Is that what you were talking about?
Not sure. So maybe just say both.
Okay. Yeah, we'll give you a link to that too, but it's, what is it called?
The food saver.
It's called Food Saver.
They have many, many different kinds.
Yeah,
This model,
yeah.
this one here, you can do canning as well. So it has that suction for the canning, but you have to buy the adapter.
But it comes with not everybody likes plastic, but it comes with a roll of plastic and it has a heat sealer. And then you decide how big, what the size of the bag is that you want. And then it'll heat seal the end. And then you put the food inside. And then if you put it in the vacuum part, it sucks out the air and then it heat seals that too. But not everybody's a fan of plastic.
And this will do the narrow mouth, and there's another one that does the wide mouth.
Of the mason jars.
Mason jars.
If you want to vacuum seal things, that's a different kind of thing that you can do. We do that with our dried beans, so that because we buy large batches of beans, so we put the dried beans into a large wide mouth mason jar, and then use that machine to suck out the air so that they'll last a little longer. Because once you open up the bag of beans, you feel like you're never going to get that factory seal back again. So did somebody else have a question?
Let me look.
Okay.
But there's a nice comment. Dale says they have some neat toys, those two.
Well, we have been doing this since 2012.
It's a long time.
And when we first started out, we didn't have a Vitamix. We didn't have an Instant Pot. We didn't have a food processor. And then we bought things that were, from the big box stores that were not as fancy versions, because we didn't think we were going to stick to this anyway very long anyway, right? and then after a while, we realized that we were going to stick with this lifestyle. And so and that was nice because we had family members that would give us gifts, on the holidays or birthdays.
We got the Vitamix for a Christmas present.
Yeah. So we got that.
And I use that every day, if not several times a day, the Vitamix.
Right. So that's way over that many years, you tend to accumulate things. And then it just makes it so much easier to do what you're doing when you have the convenience. But we could still be living this lifestyle with the other things that we had or didn't, or without the things that we
See, we got this little Ninja chopper. It's
Yeah.
a tiny, tiny food processor. And it's like $20, $25, something like that.
Right. And it just pulses things and it's really cool.
It's really wonderful.
And
I
it's
use that every day
It's
too.
easy, just
You know what I was thinking? You guys could almost come back for a show of kitchen gadgets.
Let's do that. Because,
Yeah.
it took us so long to find out the gadgets and how, and what you use it for. We have a group that we meet with virtually now, and they share their ideas of things that they use. And that's how we learned about some of these things. So, it's like this bowl. I had a plastic bowl that I used a lot. And then after a while, I decided I was trying to get away from plastic. And when it was finally cracked, I said, I'm going with stainless steel. And so these are just things that we've accumulated over time.
Though I'm wondering, do you have the Nutrimilk?
I don't, but gosh, I saw you show it and it looked really good.
What's that?
The Nutrimilk.
I don't want to tell tall tales out of school because I don't have the approval yet, but there may be a pretty cool contest coming up soon where you can win one.
Oh, yeah, I like winning things.
Yeah,
I'm very
absolutely.
competitive like
You know
that.
what I'd like to win? A year's supply of Benson's Table Tasting.
Well, sometimes we actually do have, we had a year supply of date syrup as a prize for
That too.
my 200th episode of Weight Loss Wednesday. So you never know. I can always ask Debbie Benson if she'd give you.
Well, I buy this by many pounds at a time. This is what, 32 ounces? So I'll buy 2 of these every time. They'll last me, I don't know, maybe 3 months. And then I'll buy another 2 pounds, and another 2 pounds. I go through a lot of it. That's my main ingredient in almost all of my savory
Because
dishes.
you don't use salt, so that's just so. I've tried so many other salt substitutes.
And that chili 9000
Yeah,
too.
I keep coming back to the table tasty because nothing.
Have you ever tried the pepperoni spice for local spicery?
I don't know
No.
if I've heard of that. The local spicery, you said?
Yeah, local spice. He's been on the show a couple times. I love his pepperoni
I must
sauce.
have missed
It's really
it.
good.
I watch practically every episode of your show.
You use it?
I do, especially on mushrooms. It makes it makes everything taste like pepperoni.
Oh, that's
See, we eat mushrooms every day,
right.
and I cook them the same way every time. I'll take a bag of frozen peppers and onions, throw it inside of a frying pan. Then I'll take 3 pounds of sliced mushrooms, toss it inside of there. I'll take the Benson's Table Tasty. I'll take the Chili 9000, toss it in, and then
The dressing.
the dressing that I make, I'll pour in a little bit of that, and then I'll just let it boil, and then I'll shut it off, and just mix it up, put it off to the side. Everything will cook down, and then Amy freezes them.
Yeah, but yeah, we have a recipe in
Then
that.
she puts them in our salads.
Right, I put them in the salads because we have a big salad every single day.
So she makes like 4 salads every couple of days or more.
Yeah.
And then she'll put kale and a whole bunch of mixed vegetables, beans,
Yeah,
edamame, and mushrooms.
yeah, that's for
So we'll have 6 of these right now inside of a.
And then, so we'll eat that, and I'll say, "Oh, lasagna." You know, I don't even know if I have room for it, but I make room because it's really good.
But we always have a freezer full of stuff, whether it's bean soup, because I make, we'll make a big Instapot of chickpeas, and
And
we'll
we
make a
did
big
that,
Instapot of black beans, and then we'll make the black bean soup, which I think we did on your show the last
Yes,
time.
we did, and we freeze that too in those vacuum seal bags. So when one of our kids comes over, there's always, you know, you want some bean soup, and they'll say, "Yeah, do you have any lasagna?" Because that's a popular one. That's why we wanted to share it with you guys.
Yeah, it looks amazing. Thank you so much. But yeah, I think that might be a good idea. Next time you come back, do a gadget episode.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah, and hopefully
Either that, I make this really, really good chocolate cupcake. They used to be a sheet cake, but I make them into cupcakes.
Yeah,
And they're made with carrots and zucchinis and
yeah.
beets. You can leave out the zucchinis a lot of times. I'll just make it with carrots and beets. And it's made with pineapples and apples and bananas.
okay, well, it sounds like we'll have to do a combination. Show us gadget cupcake episode.
And they taste better after they're frozen.
Yeah.
And so you make up 48 of those. You throw them in the freezer, and then when you want, you eat them. Same thing like.
Into mini cupcakes.
And I make these little oatmeal cookies, which are more like cooked oatmeal bars.
You would think that with all these delicious foods that you would think that we would be just like.
Well, I have a little bit too much on me, but
Well,
I mean,
he's always tasting, but you would think
and
that
it's
we would
because I
just
have a
be-
sweet tooth.
Yeah. But because it's plant-based and it's SOS-free, as long as we don't, you know, eat a whole ton of it, we can enjoy these treats and still be somewhat trim, which is nice. Because you have to have a little enjoyment, especially if you want to go.
So here, these are like the cupcakes that I made. Let me show you.
We have recipes for that too. So we
I have them frozen,
yeah, they kind of look funky because they're frozen, but
but
they
have
icing on them too.
yeah, which is really
And
good.
there's not any sugar, oil, or salt. And so we will just stick that in the microwave for 20 seconds. And
And I make these cookies.
yeah, he used to make them much bigger. And I said, honey, they look like hamburger patties. I said, no, you gotta make them smaller.
And that's another thing that we just started doing too. I take a lentil soup and I double the lentils, and I mix in more of the table tasting, a bunch of other things, and I make burgers, and we put them inside of like a loaf pan that's made of silicone, and then since it comes out like a loaf, I'll cut them into 1 inch thick, and they'll be square
So they're like
hamburgers
Yeah, so you don't
made
have
out of
to-
beans.
So you don't have to form them. But that's another fun thing. So I'm very fortunate. He likes to come up with different ideas, and I like to taste. So we make a good team. Right?
Sometimes I dream of recipes and then I make it the next day.
Well, that's so
Weird.
fantastic. Well, people are wanting to know where they get a Rick.
Get mine, ladies and gentlemen. No, that's hard. 'Cause
I retired, so this became my hobby and my passion.
Yeah,
So I enjoy it
yeah,
a
Do
lot.
you guys ever teach in-person classes?
Yeah,
yes,
we used to.
yeah, and hopefully we'll be restarting that soon.
She had started up a couple of meetups, and they turned into pods. Tell them about pods.
Yeah, so yeah, we have a it's called Dennis Whole Food Plant Based Lifestyle, and you can find us on Facebook, and it's a private group, and we meet together via Zoom, and we do recipe demos just for them. And then people, they hire us to do one-on-one cooking lessons for them. So we do that via Zoom, and that's, internationally.
But also the group has taught us so much, because we have some fabulous cooks inside of our meetups. I've taken some of their recipes and tweaked them a little bit to make them more my own, so that I like the flavors that I use, because most of them don't use the Benson's, and I use it, and that gives it that salty, sweet, I don't know, savory.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's really good. I mean, we made a blend of this. One of our members made a knockoff blend, which tasted very, very similar to this. And I made it, but
it still keeps going back to that. But if we run out of that, we use her recipe to make it. So it's pretty good. But
it's not worth it, because it costs almost as much to purchase it as it takes to make it.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. So we do the one-on-one lessons, and you can just go to our website, begreenwithamy.com, and if you wanted to schedule a one-on-one cooking lesson via Zoom, we could do that. And he's good at helping you tweak the recipe that you have, because sometimes, especially in the beginning, when we found recipes and we were trying to get away from the sugar, oil, and salt, everything just tasted so bland. And I said, how are we going to commit to this lifestyle when it's not even flavorful? And he would just take those recipes and he'd figure out how to just bring them up a notch or two to make them palatable, so that now I could just eat steamed vegetables and I'd be fine. But in the beginning, well, he's the cook, so he's got
I find it harder. I never really liked vegetables. Now, if you put a sauce on a vegetable, that vegetable is going to taste delicious, regardless of basically what it was. I really disliked Brussels sprouts.
Yes.
For me, Brussels sprouts were really bad. And now I make this thing with the Brussels sprouts.
Kind of like what you make with the air fryer.
In fact, sometimes I'll throw them in with the lasagna. And because they'll make like little mini meatballs in a way, because they have that crunch to them. It's delicious. Delicious.
Well, Voracious Vegan, who actually won a year's supply of date syrup and gave me 3 of the bottles, says, a man who can cook, what a catch. And Nancy says, do you store your Benson's Table Tasty a certain way once you open the bag to keep it from getting hard?
Okay. For some reason, it always gets a little bit more solidified, caked up.
Yeah.
So I'll keep it inside of this jar, but I also keep it inside of the bag.
Right.
But if it gets caked up, I just take the end of a spoon and I kind of go like that to it, and it powders out again. Right. But I'll take a bag like this and I'll store it in my pantry inside of like a Tupperware jar. Right. And I'll put that inside
to help seal it more. But this is what you get when you're not having emulsifiers and funny ingredients and things. They're going to cake up. Where when you buy the typical ingredients that most people buy in the grocery store, they don't cake up, and that's why, because they got funky things.
I'm sure that you can add an anti-caking type of thing to it, but
I don't need it to.
You wouldn't want it. Yeah. You would turn around and say, why did they put that in there? But that's the way it is.
Well, you guys are just an amazing, adorable couple. People want you back. They want the cupcake recipe. So we're going to have to book you. I'm booking, I think, for September now.
September, yeah.
Absolutely. And maybe by then you'll be doing cooking classes again.
Set us up. We'll do it.
And then by then we probably should have the ebook ready for them. And that would be a lot of fun too.
That would be great. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chef AJ. You're wonderful.
Yeah, you're wonderful.
It's always a pleasure having you.
No, you're the one who inspired us more so than anybody else.
Really, I appreciate that. Thank you.
I lost 100 pounds, and a lot of it has to do because of you.
Right.
Wow, that's incredible. Do you have you don't have to show today, but when you come back, do you have any before pictures you can show?
If you go on her website, she has a bunch of pictures that show before and after.
Yeah.
Did you by any chance keep like one pair? By any chance, did you keep like one pair of pants when you were 100 pounds heavier?
We actually had a sweatshirt that
I don't have a pair of pants.
No, he didn't keep, but he had a sweatshirt that he loved, and when you adopt this lifestyle, you go through phases of clothing where you start tightening up your belt a little bit and things are getting a little bit baggy on you, and you really don't believe it's going to happen. So you don't go out and buy new clothes because you just don't want to disappoint yourself that you're just going to gain it all back. But then the clothes just keep getting looser and looser. And finally you say, you know what? I think I need to go to the store and get a little bit smaller. And there's this one sweatshirt that he just kept holding on to. And so periodically.
It's my Chiefs jacket.
Yeah, it was for.
I got rid of my Chiefs jacket, but it was a Chiefs sweatshirt.
It was for Kansas City Chiefs football team. So, but each time you go through your closet and your dresser and things and you say, okay, I'm finally going to get rid of this because it's so ridiculous for me to even think that I'm ever going to get back to this because I know this lifestyle is working and I know I'm going to keep losing weight. But there's this one sweatshirt that he just kept holding on to, and we were in our bedroom and going through clothes and he said, no, I'm keeping that. And I started laughing. And then I said, it's so big on you. And he put it on and I said, look, it's like a tent on you. And he said, come here, honey. And I went over there and he lifted it up over my head so that I was in the sweatshirt with him like that.
You have it on your website.
Yeah. And then our daughter walked by the room because she was visiting and she said, wait a minute. And she popped a picture of it. So it was so big that the two of us could fit into it. And
I was a double X shirt and jacket.
Yeah.
And now I'm a medium small. Okay. I've lost as much weight as, well, more weight than Amy weighs.
Yeah.
She couldn't get her arms around me when she went and hugged me.
Yeah.
You know, now she can.
So now we're so much closer because I can get my arms around.
It's a fabulous lifestyle once you figure it out.
Right. But when we first started, Rick said, I'll do this as long as it tastes good. And then when it wasn't tasting good, I panicked. So I found you, thank goodness. And I looked at all of your different videos and recipes, and I started giving him the information. So I was getting the information, and he was figuring out how to make it.
Back then, you were more chef and the nutritarian.
No, chef and a dietitian.
Dietitian.
Yeah. So, but we got those ideas from you, and thank goodness, because I don't know if we stayed committed to the lifestyle long enough for our taste buds to neuroadapt, because that was the thing. Eventually, they would have neuroadapt.
Then we went on that holiday holistic cruise.
Yeah, we saw you there.
And we took those millet muffins. You made millet muffins.
Yeah.
I made a bunch of those and froze and brought them on the cruise with me, and that was my dessert.
Right.
That is great. And I did want to point out that Benson's Table Tasty, I spoke to her the other day. She said she's doing something to make it not clump, something using rice granules or something. So maybe, I don't know if I just got my shipment today, so I'll let you know if it's anti-clump now.
Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't bother me.
You can just put it in your food processor, whiz it up, it comes right back.
Exactly.
It breaks down really quick. All we do is press on it and it falls apart.
Absolutely. Well, everybody wishes they had a husband like Rick that would eat this way.
Thank you.
Very fortunate. We've been married for now.
It'll be 35 years.
35 years.
In June.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
She doesn't even look 35 years old.
And I don't regret a single day.
She really doesn't look 35 years old, and your skin is beautiful.
Well, this lifestyle is so beneficial because it gives your skin color, and it protects you from the sun, and it gives you lots of elasticity. So I think I'm very grateful for finding this lifestyle.
She has good genes too.
I think I've got some good genes.
Diane says she loves your family photo behind you.
Oh, that was a beach photo. We were on the beach, and I think that they were closing the beach because of I think they had a shark or something. Yeah. So
that
they
was
were
in
telling
New
everybody
York,
that when we were visiting New York, and so we just got onto the beach, and we were like, oh, we just got here. So my daughter, who's a photographer, said, everybody huddle. We're going to take a picture real quick before they kick us off. And that was just an impulsive snapshot. And it just captured the moment of, well, we're not getting to stay on the beach, but we sure are still having a lot of fun together. That's
great. You guys are amazing. And you're going to come back very soon and show us the cupcake recipe, and we'll do a little gadget demonstration. And maybe by then you'll win the Nutri-Milk machine.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Then we could make more recipes.
Yeah, I really love it. It's really funny how I bought it to make nut milk, and now I'm using it instead of my food processor because it's just faster and more powerful.
Yeah, and you said something about that. It has kind of like a squeegee kind of windshield wiper thing.
It's wiper blades. And so I actually filmed a television show this week. I'll be able to talk about it soon. And I brought that as my food processor because I was making a strawberry chocolate cheesecake, and it's just literally 30 seconds to a minute. Whereas when I use my Cuisinart, it's like I got to run it for 4 or 5 minutes to get that texture.
Wow.
So it's kind of
That
cool.
sounds great.
Yeah, even though I'm sure they didn't invent it necessarily for that. So you never know. So, well, this has been so much fun. The recipe looks amazing. I can't wait to have you come back for what we talked about. And thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. Don't come back tomorrow. We'll do come back tomorrow, but come back today first because we have a bonus show today at 2 p.m. a live Q&A with Dr. Doug Lyle and Dr. Jen Hawk.
We're going to do a tagline, Amy's tagline. Are you ready?
I am so ready.
Okay, so until we see you again in September, see you in September.
Go ahead.
Bye. Say bye to Rick and Amy from Be Green with Amy. And remember, be strong, be well, and be
Great. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you.